Have you ever asked yourself what truly gives Bitcoin its value? People often say it's not backed by anything, but is that really true? Or just another narrative designed to keep you trapped in the system? If you are thinking about investing in crypto, this video is going to open your mind. Today, you'll discover what really underpins Bitcoin. It's not gold, it's not the government, it's something much stronger. We're going to talk about energy, math, scarcity, and principles. You'll walk away with solid arguments so you never fall for empty rhetoric again. If you're tired of watching your money lose value, if you feel like something's wrong with the system, or if you want more control over your financial life, this video is for you. In 1944, during the Bretton Woods Conference, the most powerful nations in the world struck a deal that established the US dollar as the global reserve currency. And in return, the United States promised that every dollar in circulation could be converted into gold. In other words, the dollar had real backing, gold held in American vaults. But that promise didn't last long. On August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon announced the end of the dollar's convertibility into gold. In practice, this meant the US broke the final link between money and a scarce physical asset. The so-called gold standard was officially dead. From that moment on, all the world's currencies became fiat, meaning they were created by government decree and backed only by trust in state authority. They have no physical backing, no real limits on issuance, just trust. And trust, as you know, is easy to lose. Over time, governments realized that without restrictions, they could print money whenever they wanted to fund wars, cover deficits, bail out banks, or maintain populist programs. This power to create unlimited currency benefited those who received the new money first: big banks, corporations, governments, and those closest to the top of the financial pyramid. Meanwhile, everyday people pay the price through the loss of purchasing power. Wages that can't keep up with inflation, savings that evaporate, prices that keep rising, even when you're working harder. This is what we call the invisible tax, inflation. It was in this environment of abuse and manipulation that Bitcoin emerged in 2009 as a direct response to the collapse of trust in the traditional financial system. Unlike fiat currencies, Bitcoin has a limited, predictable, and unchangeable supply. It cannot be inflated by decree. It is decentralized, auditable, and free from government and banking influence. Bitcoin was born as an alternative, as resistance, as a new standard, not based on promises, but on code, mathematics, and principles. But there's a persistent myth that every currency needs to be backed by something physical. As if without gold behind it, money simply loses its value. While that idea might sound intuitive, it's actually an illusion. Physical backing gives a false sense of security, as if just having shiny metal in a vault is enough to make a system stable. In reality, what truly gives a currency value is the collective trust of the people who use it, and its scarcity. It's not gold that gives money its worth. It's the expectation that it will continue to be accepted tomorrow. It's the limitation in supply, the predictability, and the stability that make it useful as a store of value. What gives a currency value isn't a precious metal, but trust and scarcity. And that applies to both traditional currencies and Bitcoin. Still, many people ask, what backs Bitcoin? Why is it worth anything? If it's not issued by a government, can't be exchanged for gold, and most people don't use it yet, then where does its value come from? That question is common, especially because we've been conditioned to believe that a currency only has value if it's tied to something tangible, like a precious metal or the authority of a state. But that logic no longer holds up. After all, the money we use today, like the dollar or the euro, also has no physical backing. It only holds value because we trust others will accept it tomorrow. So when someone asks, what backs Bitcoin? The right answer isn't found in a vault full of gold, but in something far more sophisticated and resilient. Bitcoin doesn't have traditional backing. It has a multi-layered foundation supported by 5 core pillars: the digital, the mathematical, the energetic, the social, and the moral. First, the digital backing. Bitcoin exists as open source code, transparent and auditable by anyone. Its operation doesn't depend on intermediaries, governments, or banks. It is decentralized by design. Second, the mathematical backing in its programmed scarcity. Bitcoin's limited supply is enforced by code. There will only ever be 21 million coins. Its issuance is predictable, with scheduled events like the halving. No politician or central bank can interfere with that. Third, the energy backing. The mining process requires real energy expenditure, which anchors the security of the network and protects the system from fraud. Every Bitcoin is the result of costly and verifiable computational work. Fourth, the social backing. Millions of people around the world believe in, use, and contribute to the growth of the Bitcoin ecosystem. Trust is distributed, and the more people adopt it, the stronger the network becomes. And finally, the moral backing. Bitcoin is an ethical response to an inflationary and manipulable financial system. It stands for individual sovereignty, responsibility, and economic freedom. These are the pillars that support Bitcoin. It's not gold. It's something greater: code, energy, scarcity, trust, and principles. Since the gold standard was abandoned, all fiat currencies are created by government decree without any real limits. Central banks can print virtually unlimited amounts of money at any time with just a click. And the more money they print, the less it's worth. So the real question is, Bitcoin has no backing compared to what? The dollar? The euro? These currencies float in a void, sustained only by political promises and a trust that weakens with every crisis. Bitcoin may not have a vault full of gold behind it, but neither does the money you use today. And the difference is, while Bitcoin is limited, transparent, and resistant to manipulation, the fiat system is the exact opposite: inflationary, opaque, and fully controlled by a few. At the end of the day, it all comes down to a matter of trust. Would you rather place your faith in politicians, central banks, and institutions that have repeatedly shown they can manipulate the currency, inflate the economy, and destroy your money's purchasing power? Or would you rather trust a protocol that doesn't lie, doesn't negotiate, and doesn't change the rules halfway through the game? A system that's transparent, auditable by anyone, and immune to the will of rulers. Bitcoin doesn't ask for blind faith. It offers you math, open source code, and predictability. So the real question is simple: who do you trust?